Ants build colonies right inside your walls. You spray them, and they come back. Because you're only killing the ones you can see. But there's a $1 powder that works differently. Ants carry it into the colony, feed it to the queen, and destroy themselves from the inside. And that's not the only method. I'll share two more that work. Methods the billion-dollar pest control industry doesn't want you to know about. Let's start with something that costs $0. This might sound crazy, but used coffee grounds. You need to understand that ants navigate by pheromones, not by sight. They're nearly blind. Chemical signals on surfaces are their GPS. But here's the detail most people miss. Ants don't use a single pheromone. They use an entire library. One signal means, food here, come this way. Another means, danger, attack. A third means, this is our nest, friend. A fourth means, I'm returning with food, make way. Each one is a distinct molecule, a distinct gland, a distinct behavioral command. The ant you see on your windowsill isn't a random visitor. It's a scout that has already laid a chemical trail for the next several hundred.
Break that signal, and the colony loses its road. Every route from the nest to your kitchen is a pheromone trail that strengthens each time a new ant follows it. Coffee grounds are saturated with volatile, organic compounds with a sharp smell that creates chemical noise around that trail. Small domestic species, sugar ants, Argentine ants, most uninvited kitchen guests, respond predictably. They reroute, avoid zones with a strong coffee smell, and look for a way around. Trail broken. The next wave won't go where the first one went. With fire ants, Solenopsis invicta, this doesn't work. Their pheromone trail is produced by the Dufour's gland and evaporates extremely quickly, much faster than in most other species. This makes them simultaneously more flexible in navigation and less vulnerable to scent barriers. Coffee grounds are no obstacle to them, just background noise. If your problem is fire ants in the yard, skip ahead to the next two sections. But if ants are in your kitchen, in the cracks around your windowsill behind the refrigerator, and you don't yet know what species you're dealing with, coffee grounds give you your first night of protection for free. Dry used grounds on paper for an hour. Dry grounds hold their smell for weeks. Wet ones go moldy in 2 days and become useless. Lay a line about a centimeter thick along window sills, door thresholds, and where pipes enter the floor. Refresh every 5 to 7 days or after wet cleaning. Cost, $0. Time, 15 minutes tonight. A repellent spray with the same mechanism of action costs $15 at any store. The difference isn't effectiveness, it's the marketing budget.
Next, I want to talk about boric acid. This is the main weapon that actually kills the colony. It's a weak, inorganic acid based on boron, but its key property isn't toxicity, it's speed of action, or rather the absence of it. At a concentration of around 1%, boric acid doesn't kill an ant instantly. It takes 24 to 72 hours. And here's what matters: understanding how food spreads inside the colony. One scout returning with poisoned bait passes it through trophallaxis, direct mouth-to-mouth fluid transfer, to other ants, who pass it further. Each poisoned carrier becomes a new source of contamination. Those ants pass it on again. Within a day, one poisoned scout has set off a chain reaction through hundreds of ants. The ant carries death home like lunch. Boric acid damages cell membranes and disrupts the digestive system. But by the time the ant feels it, it's already deep inside the colony, food already distributed. The queen gets her share, the brood too. There's a nuance here that sets fire ants apart from many other species. Fire ants can't eat solid food directly. Adult individuals consume only liquids. Scouts carry solid food to the larvae, which secrete digestive enzymes and convert it into liquid. That liquid then spreads through trophallaxis to the entire colony, including the queen. This means the bait literally passes through every level of the colony before it acts. That's why slow action isn't a flaw in the method, it's the architecture. The USDA Agricultural Research Service confirmed in laboratory studies, a 1% boric acid solution can reduce worker ant populations and brood by 90% within 6 weeks. Field studies at concentrations from 0.25% to 1% showed 95 to 100% control within 8 weeks.
But there's a condition that almost everyone violates. Concentration is everything. Put in too much, the ant dies before it makes it home. You killed the courier, never reaching the addressee. Above 2% concentration, the method stops working. That's the USDA's conclusion. That said, UF/IFAS cautions that result stability in field conditions is lower than in the lab. With heavy external reinfestation, boric acid requires parallel work on outdoor nests. Boric acid has been known as an insecticide since at least the 1940s. It's cheap, stable, and effective at the right concentration, and not a single major market player is interested in selling you a $4 package that replaces a quarterly contract at $480 a year. There's a pattern that's hard to ignore. Boric acid doesn't appear in any mass advertising campaign, not because it's ineffective, but because it can't be monetized at scale. The correct recipe: 1/4 teaspoon of boric acid and 2 cups of sugar syrup, roughly 1% concentration. For fire ants, which are drawn to fats and proteins, substitute 1/2 cup of peanut butter with the same amount of boric acid. Place no more than a teaspoon of bait on cardboard or a jar lid in areas of heavy ant activity. Never spray the ant trail with chemicals before applying bait. You'll scare off the colony before it collects the food. Wait. Within 24 hours, you'll see more ants. That's normal. Those are scouts carrying food. Within 48 to 72 hours, activity will drop sharply. Refresh the bait weekly for 6 weeks. If you're not seeing results, add more sugar, not more boric acid. 1 bottle of boric acid, $3 to $4 at a pharmacy. Lasts 2 to 3 seasons. That's what 10 minutes of a pest control technician's time costs.
And finally, that powder. Diatomaceous earth is the fossilized shells of single-celled algae, 30 to 70 million years old. Diatoms lived alongside dinosaurs and outlasted them. The mass extinction 66 million years ago wiped out the Tyrannosaurus. Diatoms? No. What you're sprinkling on an ant mound tonight are organisms 15 to 55 million years old, preserved in rock as powder. Under a microscope, sharp, irregularly shaped fragments with a porous structure. To a human, harmless mineral dust. To an insect, an abrasive that simultaneously cuts through the waxy protective layer of the cuticle and draws moisture from the surface of the body. The ant isn't poisoned, it desiccates. And here's what makes this mechanism special. Insects cannot develop resistance to diatomaceous earth. Resistance to chemical insecticides arises through mutations in nerve receptors or breakdown enzymes. Evolution finds a workaround at the molecular level. But against a physical abrasive that simply cuts the cuticle, evolutionary defense would require a complete overhaul of the wax layer's chemical composition, a process that takes not generations, but millions of years. Diatomaceous earth is equally effective against the first ant and the billionth. Pure mechanical action, no chemistry, No neurotoxins. The effect sets in within 24 to 48 hours under dry application conditions and humidity below 60%. This is where most people go wrong. Florida in August is 80 to 90% humidity. At that level, diatomaceous earth particles absorb water. Their abrasive edges lose effectiveness, and the desiccation mechanism shuts down. Outdoors, after each rain, application needs to be refreshed. Indoors, the effect holds for weeks. Outdoors in a humid climate, this is regular maintenance, not a one-time fix.
One more thing to know before you buy. Diatomaceous earth comes in two types. Food grade, amorphous silica, safe for humans and pets. Pool grade, industrial heat-treated, contains crystalline silica, which damages the lungs with repeated inhalation. They look the same. The difference is in the label and the consequences. Buy only food grade or OMRI listed. This is not a minor detail. And here's what's interesting. A product with two versions, one safe, one not, costs $12 a bag, enough for an entire season. Diatomaceous earth has been mined in the U.S. since the late 19th century. It's used in grain storage, organic farming, and households. It can't be patented. It's a mineral. So branded insecticides in bright $20 to $25 bottles line the shelves at Home Depot, while the $12 bag of diatomite sits somewhere in the corner of the garden section with no advertising at all. Same mechanism of action. The only difference is margin. Buy food-grade diatomaceous earth, $10 to $15 for a 4-pound bag at Home Depot or Tractor Supply. Wear a mask when applying, not because it's toxic, but because any fine dust irritates the airways. Apply a thin, even layer, not a mound, a layer, around the house foundation, along garage walls, around any identified ant mounds. Thin is more effective than thick. The ant needs to walk through it, not around it. For an active mound, pour powder directly into the entry opening and 15 to 20 centimeters around it. In dry weather, the effect comes within 24 to 48 hours. After rain, reapply. One bag lasts an entire season for a private home. At the start, I said $12 billion a year goes to services that relocate the problem rather than solve it. Now you know both how ants work and 3 ways to use that against them. Coffee grounds, a free first line of defense you can lay tonight. Boric acid at 1% concentration, USDA confirmed, kills the colony from within over 6 weeks. Food-grade diatomaceous earth, a mechanical barrier without chemistry, effective in dry conditions and safe for your family. This knowledge faded because the truth doesn't require a subscription